You're listening to The Manning Report with your host, James David Manning. The news behind the headlines.
America has been plagued by racism. The irony of America is with having risen to become the greatest nation on the planet in just a matter of 100 years or so, starting after slavery was the Reconstruction period, and after the Reconstruction period was the great industrial age with Henry Ford and the T-model Ford and the assembly lines, and you know, the Carnegies, the Mellons, and Rockefellers, and all that crowd during that period, becoming billionaires, and the great industrial age came to be. And America rose in World War I under Teddy Roosevelt, I mean not Teddy Roosevelt, but with Woodrow Wilson, and became a world superpower. After slavery, America just became a world superpower, and she has not looked back until yesterday. The fact that America rose in over the last 100 years, I think that World War I ended in 1919. And then now we're in 2019, absolutely 100 years afterwards. And in between that was World War II, the Korean War, and then Vietnam, and then what do we have in Iraq and Afghanistan. But America has always been plagued by one thing that she's never been able to actually get over with. And it's a thing right now that's dragging her down, and that is slavery. Amid all the other auspicious, awesome things that America has been able to do, that she has not been able to overcome slavery. Now, Japan has been able to overcome the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And as you know, they don't have black people in Japan, even though Japanese people are Hamites. And the same thing in China. And Japan has risen to be, at one point in time, Japan was buying up America. At one point in time, Japan was buying up Trump Towers, Trump properties. But America's been plagued by slavery. It's a nagging and gnawing part of American history that has kept her from finally being free. America has never been free from its act of slavery. And one could argue, as there's been a lot of arguments now amid the 2020 Democratic campaigners or presidential candidates, of the whole idea of reparations, that reparation will somehow or another finally put an end to the inequities that have happened as a result of slavery, that generally African Americans or Negroes or colored or black people have not been able to rise at the same level as is their white counterparts, because of the fact that, well, slavery and then Jim Crow. Even in today's in climate in America, talking about slavery and the aftermath thereof, the economic base of the average black, colored, or Negro or African-American household compared to the average white, Japheth, Caucasian household only has 7 cents to every dollar that white people have. That black families are only worth in equity 7 cents compared to $1 for white people. So there's a great 93% of economic inequity, and then that economic inequities get translated into so many absence of so many other privileges, which then also supports the absence of upward mobility, other kinds of exposures, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so as a result of that, the slavery continues. It's almost it's almost like a modern day sense of sharecropping. That if the average household of black people has 7 cents to the dollar household value of white, that's the same as what sharecropping was about when I was doing sharecropping with my father down in North Carolina with Mr. Billy back in the 1940s and the 1950s and 60s, 1950s and 60s. So America is only what we refer to now as a new segment of sharecropping in terms of economic equities. And then the other thing I think is important that we need to be able to realize is that we really haven't economically, we haven't moved beyond it. And there are a number of economic data will point out black people are only worth 7 cents, where a white family is worth $1. But I think the thing that we also need to point out is this: the irony of this is that black people do not get paid in industries that pay other households or pay other dividends to other members of the Negro colored community. For instance, most recently, the highest paid, check this out, as we're looking at America being plagued by slavery and ultimately bringing her down. It's the problem why Tribulation Trump has risen. It's the fear of white men who now realize that the slave is going to be enslaving them. But the fact that the highest paid over the history of black people, the highest paid persons now, that the biggest paycheck a Negro or colored or black person ever got is in rap music. I mean, think about that for just a second. Think about that for just a second. The biggest paycheck in a community-wise that a black person, Negro or colored person ever got is from rap, not even from music, but from rap music. There's something sinisterly wrong about that. And then, of course, second to that is that the biggest paycheck that blacks or Negroes or coloreds get is in sports or entertainment. And there is no paycheck given to blacks or their ancillary or their family members or structure community from the business world, which is where the Industrial Revolution made America great. The Mellons, the Carnegies, the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers, all were able to enlarge their tents and make their family members and their posterity filthy, filthy, filthy rich in a perpetual rich state from industry, from economics, from business. So when you have the largest amount of income coming to the black family, it's coming right now, coming from rap artists, and they do not contribute to the black community at large. And then entertainment, whether it be in boxing or whether it be in basketball, sports, or some other kind of venue such as that. So America is plagued. Right now, America is still in the sharecropping mode compared to 7 cents. 7 cents, I hope you didn't misunderstand me, the 70 cents, I said 7 pennies compared to 100 pennies that the white man had. The black household has 7 pennies compared to the average white household of 100 pennies. I'm talking about right now in 2019, 13 days before taxes are due here in the month of April. So this economic disparity has had a grievous effect, if you will. So now a number of presidential candidates are saying, well, why not reparations? Pay reparations, and that will solve the problem. First of all, I don't think that we have enough time to pay reparations. I'm not sure exactly how they would do that, but it certainly would not solve the problem. It would not, just giving every black person $1 million is not going to solve the problem, because we got a lot of thieves out there would steal that from people who never had that kind of money before and wouldn't know what to do with it if they got it. This is a bit of a news blog we do looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting, rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning, and I'm here to serve you. with news and information.